Welcome back in, you guys. NRL Fantasy Analysis here. In here for our Sunday wrap, our Warriors and our Cowboys, and the Tigers and the Dragons game. And a tough game for our Cowboys. Obviously a nice comeback, but all the damage was done in that first half. But not so tough from a fantasy perspective with Tohu Harris and RTS in my squad, when both of them being the top scorers in this game. So well done to anyone who owns those guys, and really helped you out if you're someone that had RTS and over someone like Tedesco or something like that who didn't get to play. So Tohu is 69 and a couple of tackle busts and a couple of offloads to go with his 57 in base stats was really cool, and a couple of line break assists there. So awesome work for him. Only one demerit with an error there. So yeah, what can we say about Tohu? He only misses one game over the rest of the season, pending injury, and as a dual position at 815k, you kind of just need him in your squad, I think. Some people might wait until round 14 now, and I think if you don't have him at this stage, that might be the smartest option, and get him in ready to go for round 17 to buy. So that's that there, and that's probably a similar thing for Roger there. Getting 67, got a nice line break try assist there, 8 tackle breaks and 225 meters with 5 kick defusals. That's everything you would have hoped for with Roger. Averaging 53.5 now, and a little bit of a lighter week last week, but when you hear that he ended up having a compound fracture in one of his fingers, and he still actually played, we're very thankful for you, Roger, and coming back this week with a vengeance. So well done to the Warriors guys as well. They had a really nice first half, and you can see Reece Walsh in absolutely everything, and probably missed out on a few points, and unfortunately if you own him, but Cody Nicarima was incredible, and I think he deserved more than 61 points in that game. He, very special. A couple of line breaks, and pretty much almost burst through the line every time he got the ball. So, well done if you're owning Cody there. Picked up a nice score, and he's got 122k in price rises there. So, good stuff there. Drinkwater was fairly solid. He made 30 tackles, a decent amount of kick meters in 176 with 111 run meters too. So, to pick up a try assist and a try, there's 56 points, but again, not really an option at this stage. Murray Talangi was 55 and a couple of tries, so he's done fairly well at that cheaper price, and to go up 31k this week, you'd be happy with that if you own him, but I don't think many people do. Robson with 53, another try this week. I think it's 3 games in a row, so good stuff for him. That was the biggest dummy I've ever seen to go through that one, but anyway, Cohen Hess is playing a lot better, I think, through the middle. He's obviously 38 tackles is good, and he should be making more run meters because he's actually running with a bit more vigor this time, which is good. Murdoch Masilo with 51, so obviously had a couple of games in a row now with a try, which has helped his score, but not many people have him. Walshy with 51, so I think he could have got closer to like a 70 or something. They had that try disallowed when they went through there. But for him to kick 478 meters, and what a Cody kick, bloody 17, so really everything went through Walsh on that left side there, and only end up with 2 tackle busts, which was a bit unfortunate if you owned him, but 51 points, you're really happy with that, and it'll be really interesting to see where he ends up with that when CHT comes back into that side. You obviously can't move Roger from where he's at. You can't, well, I don't think you can. You shouldn't be able to, with how good Roger played yesterday too. You're not going to move Cody, so where does he play? Maybe he's an interchange player. So that was kind of the reason of not getting him, but if you can play him the next bunch of weeks and get 50, if you can play those next few, he should be able to make 100, 150k over the next couple, and you can make the decision from there. So good work if you own him. Egan and Pompey with 50 each. Pompey's done actually pretty good since he's come into the side at 492k now, and Egan with 548. Lost 4k this week with his 50, so he's definitely peaked in price, and you can move him on as you're getting closer to the buy rounds. Joshy Curran's an interesting one, and someone I brought in 2 weeks ago in the alternates team, and he's done well so far. He obviously had the weird sim binning and stuff last week, and the mid-30s score, but this is kind of what he would have been aiming to get if he played the full 80, and he's averaging 50 now over the first 3 weeks that he's played, and obviously got a line break assist and try assist. He was actually on very, very low score. I think it was about through 25 minutes, he was on like 5 or 6, so a much more improved second part of the game there. But someone that makes over 40 tackles the majority of his big minute games, he's going to score pretty well for someone that's so cheap. So he's an interesting option this week. I think at 393, you probably missed the boat on him a little bit, just with them not playing in round 13. I've still had a few people ask me in the comments on YouTube what's happening in round 13. Half the teams have a bye round, so you half your team, well, specifically half your team probably won't be playing, and you'll get a lower score if you aren't thinking about that bye round. So think about that if you're not. Holmes with 46, another solid game for him, 170 metres, fair bit of attacking stats with a try assist, a couple of line break assists and a try save, so well done to him as well. He's made another 24k if you own him. Again, one of those guys that I think he's going to be maybe definitely in the top 10, I'd say, in the wing fullbacks, but not one of your top guys when you've got To'o and all the Thompson was those kind of guys, and then all the fullbacks that are dominating. So not one I'd be thinking about at this stage, Holmesy. Tamalolo, good to see him back. Just not the same player at the moment. Obviously, he's had a bunch of injuries and stuff, but not at his rampaging best. And he's going to be a very, very juicy option come like round 14 after their bye round. I think he's going to be really cool. We could get him at like 600k, which would be amazing. So keep him on the radar, guys. Obviously, when he starts getting a few more minutes and can get his PPM up and a few more attacking stats with his offloads and tackle breaks there. Who else we got there? Jensen, Benny Hampton. Does anyone else think he's gone? I swear at the end of the game there he'd done his peck and just stayed on there because they didn't have any interchanges basically. I don't know what you guys think. And then he tried to tackle again and came out of it really reeling. I think I'm really worried actually that if Pap's not back and Hampton is gone, then I need to make another trade for a wing fullback, which is not what we want. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought on that. I've actually sent a message to NRL Physio. We'll wait till he gets back to me because he hasn't said anything yet. Maybe it was a burner. I'm not sure. But be aware that he may not play this week, Hampton. And they've got Clifford as like 18th man too. Leeson Armour with 32 in only 30 minutes this time. I think it's time to move him on. He's been a serviceable cash cow and scorer for everyone's side and very similar to Bunty or Foa. Both just not getting enough minutes to do really well when they're already both in the 400k mark. So time to move them on. Rocco Berry is an interesting one. He played pretty well. He did only get 31, but I actually like him as a player. I think he'll be solid. Not an option at the moment in fantasy, but yeah, solid player overall and good work for him. And that Kossi as well, who came on and made his debut on the wing. So well done to him. Also, Jazz Tavanga. Wow. Isn't he one to talk about? How many people were picking him up a few weeks ago after that massive score? And there's something to think about. Obviously, you can't expect him to get 27 minutes. You'd be expecting 45 to 50. But these types of guys, when they're really stacked in that forward pack, you've got Tohu playing middle there for 80 minutes. Where do the minutes come from? That's going to be the question for someone like him. Where do they come from? When Egan's playing, Egan played 80 minutes as well. Is that right? Yeah, 80 minutes. And it's like, well, okay, he's not spelling him at the hooker position. He needs all his minutes through the middle, and for him to get 23 and 27 minutes is terrible for, people are picking up and want him to get 50 plus, unfortunately. So that's that one there. And then another one to talk about was Condon, who has made 100k, and that's because of the tries that he scored, but his base stats is horrendous. 25 meters this game as a running second rower at 70 minutes. So yeah, no good, unfortunately for him. Another thing to think about with those types of second rowers, you want them to be workhorses and then have a small chance of some attacking upside at best. But there you go. Warriors and Cowboys, that's the game. And wow, the Tigers finally get a win, hey? 16-8 to the Dragons. And after Dragons winning their first four, they fall for they've lost their last bunch. So really tough for the Dragons at this stage. And Josh Maguire can't win a game this season. poor bloke. It leaves the Cowboys, they do well, and then comes the Dragons and they lose. So all right, up top with Lukey Brooks, Laurie and Dewey actually, which makes sense that them winning, they'd be scoring the majority of the points there. And Brooks is an interesting one because, how many of us, especially like I was one of the later ones to jump off him, but so many people were off him so early and he was averaging 50 at that time. And he's obviously had a couple of lower games, but he's someone that if the team's going well, he's going to score well also. And Dewey's a little bit more consistent, but Brooks is that one that, if he's going to do well, it's going to be in these types of games where he can run the ball a fair bit, make 100 meters, kick 270, 7 tackle breaks, 23 tackles, just doing a bit of everything. So well done to him with 82. If you hold on to him strong, I think at this stage you just keep holding until the bye round. Let him play that and then go from there. Dane Laurie, another one that people have been asking me about trading out for ages, and why? He's actually a good player. It's so easy just to go, oh yeah, one low score where they're out, or one high score and they're in, right? What's their consistency like? He was averaging 46 before last week. Yeah, I know. I understand he scored low last week, but they didn't have a very good game. and he's going to really benefit from games where they're not playing the Penrith Panthers of the world. These types of guys, I think he, as I said, there's almost a chance that he's a keeper if he can get better. He's only new to the game. If he can keep getting better, at worst he's your fourth option in the wing fullback position. And right now, when the wing fullback position is there's so many injuries in there and suspensions and whatever else, and he's such an important factor in anyone's side. So I wouldn't be thinking about moving him on, and he plays round 13. Don't do it. Dewey, 61, still a great option. Obviously, he had his lower week last week, but again, we talk about that. He's in a wing fullback position. If you can have a floor of in the 30 mark, which is like what RTS and those types of guys are like, then you're going to do well on the upside when you play well. And he's going to average 50 for the year. I don't see any reason why he shouldn't. So, what on to Dewey again? 61, still a great option. McCulloch with 58, another solid game for him. Not much we have to say. You get him in, you know what you're getting, around that 60 average on a long-term basis. So, good stuff. Paul Vaughan, 53. Maguire, 51. He becomes a slightly more an option now if he's going to be playing big minutes. I'm not sure if he'll continue to play 80 every week. And obviously them not winning, so I don't know if they change that. But it really hurt Fuamano, for example, which we'll talk about in a second. Joey Leilua with 50, which was great for him. He actually played a much better game and didn't really do anything stupid finally. So helped them win, really. But at 325k, he becomes very, very interesting. With him being a 40-point average kind of player over the years, he'd be very scary, but very interesting for that first buy round. And if he continue, he's been dropped, he comes back. Is he going to switch on? I don't know. He hasn't really done it for years, so he's someone to keep in the back of your mind. But with a 50, he should start making some cash now. Norman with 49, Garner 49, Laurie 12, 47. Did get 57 minutes this week, which you're happy with, but he just doesn't get the attacking stats, does he? And the goal was 60 plus minutes, looking at closer to 70, and he'd score really well, and he's just not doing it. And if you own him, you just got to hold on. Like, he plays round 13, he's still averaging 51, but you'd be hoping for more, unfortunately. Lucy Leilua with 47, and one of his lower games of the year for sure. You're not too stressed about his output there. Just didn't have a lot of running meters, only 91 and 32 tackles. So just a lower game on that side of the ball. They obviously won the game. There's a little bit less traffic on his side. He actually moved to the right this time, so I don't know if that was an issue with his scoring, but I still think he's a very solid option going forward. Averaging 55, you're under 700k now in that edge position, which has a few decent dual position players like in a Tohu, Crichton and stuff like that, but I think they're better served at playing in your mids at the moment with Fafita there in the edge. So Leilua is still a great option. Zaxini with a really cool debut and the beautiful mullet there with all these boys in the corner. So it was pretty cool that he actually scored his first try on their side of the field. So congrats to him. He I actually think he played really well. Had a really good game. Only 3 tackle breaks, but 150 meters, a try, a couple of line breaks. Couldn't really hope for much more. And if you need some help in the center position, it'll be interesting to see if he manages to keep that spot long term and have a little look into the injuries and things that are happening on the Tigers side of the ball. But yeah, he could be someone that 255k could be a decent placeholder and score fairly well. But again, he's made to look a bit better when the Tigers are have played a better game, for example. Seyfarth had a few more minutes off the bench this time and got 39. So yeah, not much to say about him. Stefano with 37 this week and stops any issues with any price drops. So you're happy with that there. 1k up this week, but 35 minutes, of course. This week he gets 37 when I don't play him in my team. Always how it works, isn't it? Tommy Talau with 36, so a decent game with a try for him. So at 264k, he's almost a basement price now, and obviously that 36 isn't as fun. But again, with Leilua, someone to think about come the first buy round. But if that's the case, I think if you bring him in there, you're holding him for the rest of the year. There's no point trading him out. So you'd be having him as a red dot come round 17, and you'd not be looking to play him each week. So unless the Tigers get a bit of a roll, I don't see him going up in price very much. One that's probably a slightly interesting option now with a few of the injuries to the guys in the Dragon side with Lomax, etc., is Max Fagai. And at 33 with just base, 3 tackle breaks, 170 meters, 7 tackles for no misses. You're really happy with his output, and he could be an option again in the center position. So if he manages to stay on the wing, which is not sure if he ends up playing in the centres for Lomax, if he's out for sort of 4 to 6 weeks or something like that. But something to think about with Max is that price really, that 259. If he can actually continue to score around that 30 mark in sort of base and then add some attacking stats here and there, I think he could be a really cool option to average maybe mid 35s, mid 30s there, and make 100, 150k that you could move on after the bye rounds. And he plays round 13 as well. So something to think about there over the next few weeks if he continues to get that spot, and seeing how the injuries shake out with Ramsey, Lomax, Willie Army's out as well, things like that. So interesting there for Maxi. Simkin with 32 in his 56 minutes. So obviously the Tigers were attacking a little bit more, and this meant that there wasn't as much work for him. He did run for 60 meters, which we're really happy with, but a couple of missed tackles and an error there wasn't perfect for him. How bad was that forward pass he made? I was just like, ugh. How hard is it to throw the ball back at a dummy half? But anyway, Simkin with 32, 38k made, and that's going to slow him down a little bit with that 32. If he can get back to around a 40, 42 average like he has been, then he'll continue to make money, another 100 or so k before bottoming out. But yeah, a little bit annoying, especially I played him as well at 32. Alvaro with 30, I think he's definitely peaked in price at 468, and he'll have to bump up closer to that 40 average again to hold price. But I still think he's a hold at least until after round 13 there. So I wouldn't be stressed with him or Stefano at this stage. Not far with 29, again just losing a lot of money. Even in the game where they won, he didn't have to do too much. Did have a nice try assist with a bat back, but he's kind of scary to bring in at this point, even close to round 13. And if I feel like for him, if he shows a little bit of promise coming into that round 13, then you can pick him up at around that 450, 500k mark, and there's a chance that he moves on and becomes a keeper. Maybe he's like your fourth option if you have some injuries and stuff like that. So something to think about. Jack Bird as well, 29 in his 80 minutes. So nothing special. He did get a try assist at the start of the game, but 4 missed tackles and 2 errors and 2 penalties as well is going to kill you. But if that's your floor as a center, you're not too stressed. He didn't really have a good game. Of course, we got there Kerr, Ramsey. Yeah, we spoke about Ramsey. Should be out for a little bit, it looks like, but we'll find out more in the next few days. Benny Hunt with 18 in the end, so dropped down from the 22, but had 11 missed tackles. So not sure if he looked exactly right. He did have one nice run there where he stepped off his left and looked pretty strong still after his injury. But for him, if you're looking to pick him up, you want him to drop plenty cash over the next few weeks and maybe pick him up just before the bye rounds, because he was incredible at the start of the year. He's got a 50.5 average even with that 18, and he's only played a couple of games. So he also got 4 games. Yeah, he had 3 games for 180 points, so 184. So amazing work before that, and he could be someone to target coming up soon. Dufty, let's talk about that. And what was the theory there with Matty? I don't know why. Like, I thought this was a game that he's going to get very involved, and I partly feel like they didn't actually go to him. Also, the fact that maybe he didn't reach out for the ball and call his name up and actually try and do something. I don't know. What do you guys think, especially some Dragons fans? I just don't think he got involved at all, and maybe they weren't looking for him, but I think that was stupid, because especially when Lomax goes down, you don't have him as a weapon in the air, for example, and Dufty's your man. When they're winning, he's playing really well, so that's another 40k down, and I don't even know if you can hold him anymore. Not that many people would be holding him, but I still get a few questions on him. Yeah, full on. We'll speak about Lomax there, and he's got to be a sell if he's a 4 to 6 weeks, which is what they're thinking. They're not sure if it was a complete break of the thumb, but it could have been a really good dislocation, they reckon, of the thumb, and some good damage in there. So which NRL physio thinks that it's very similar 4 to 6 weeks period, and I think that's probably too much, because if it's 4 weeks now, you have 9, 10, 11, 12. 4 weeks, if you're lucky, you get him back for around 13. But if it's 5 weeks, you miss the important buy, and then he has a buy in round 17. It's kind of you just kind of have to sell him. And our last one there is Fui, and only 36 minutes for 16 points. Just didn't do anything really. 36 minutes and you make 9 tackles. That's not good enough. But for now, he's dropped 21k this week, which is pretty annoying. And we had to play him in the People's squad, which killed us a fair bit. But yeah, moving to the bench and Maguire starting and playing big minutes, I feel like Fui now 36 minutes is kind of what he's going to get. Very similar to what Alvaro and those types of guys are getting. So if you got Fui, I think it's probably time to move him on before he loses any more cash. 33 average now. Any scores below that, and he's going to continue to lose cash for you. Yes, he plays around 13, but I think his role has changed now. Whereas Alvaro and Stefano, their roles haven't changed, and they should be able to score in the 30s pretty regularly. But I think Fui's going to have a few of these games in him now. So he's probably a trade out in our people squad, but also in your squad there. So there you go, guys. That's the 2 games. Let me know what some of the lessons you learnt from this week were. Let me know how your team went in the comments there, and on the Discord group. Please hit that link in the description. We have that there. But as I said, guys, hope you enjoyed that. We'll catch you in the next ones where I analyze my team, the people squad, and give you all the help with the team lists, etc. for the rest of the week. So see you guys. Have a good one.